Hello. No idea what's going on with this sound. Anyway, it seems to be working now. Just tidy these cables away. For some reason it just doesn't work every now and again, this mic. Should do. Bloody expensive. But anyway, you can hear me now, yeah? Good. Well, I hope you can hear me. I can see the mic pickup working, so that's all right. So yeah, as I was saying, just taking a quick DAX long this morning, looking to get this gap fill. We just tapped into support down here and getting a bit of a bounce. So I took a position. Where did I take first position? I had first position here. Got dragged into that. Then we started to push back down again. So I added a trailing entry above that candle, wicked me into that, pushed it down again. Got a bullish engulfing, so I've got into another one. So got 3 positions on basically. Looking for this gap fill, and then when that gap fill is done today, looking for a gap fill. We're in a bear market, looking to get this gap filled today, hopefully, if not tomorrow, at some point soon. So yeah. Overall looking down, but looking to see if we can get this done first thing and then drop. So looking for a push and drop, potentially push up into resistance from Friday. But we will see. So DAX on Friday we had obviously an up day. We were expecting, well, I was playing for the gap fill Friday, didn't get it. I had a quite good day on Friday, but I didn't push it. Sound is distorting. Has everybody else got distorted sound? I haven't got any mic. I've got no settings for the mic. It's literally on and off. So don't know. Hopefully you can hear it. I'll move it further away. I'll turn the volume down. Is that better? Does that sound a bit better? I've just turned it down a little bit. Maybe it's hitting red too much. So yeah, big update on Friday. Was looking for the gap fill, didn't get it. We're pulling back on this last down move here. So this is a pullback, 61.8 retracement, a little bit more than 61.8 retracement we've done on this. So looking for a drop there basically. Continuation obviously of this down move. Nasdaq, we had an update. We didn't get much of a pullback. Nice 3-bar reversal gone in on that there, pushing down today. S&P, similar sort of thing, and the Dow as well. Obviously, US indices all doing the same thing. So all had a little bit of a reversal. We had a massive, massive down week. We had 6 days on the trot on the Dow and the S&P, and Nasdaq had a little bit of a blip in the middle, but all good, all down. You know, it's just big drops. We're in a bear market, should continue in the bear market. There's no reason why anything should be changing. So yeah, looking for continuation down moves. I'm just going to see if there's any gaps. Yeah, we got gaps to the upside on all the indices to get filled. So let's see if we can get those done this morning. So I've got 1.5% risk on 3 positions. I'm going to add another position as we break. If we're going to break to the upside, I'm going to add one more in. So 1.5%, 2% risk on this gap fill this morning. It'll either happen or it won't. Deal with it as it happens. We'll have a look at all the news as well. Got lots of news coming this week. Peter, so-called fear factor is so high at the moment, some experts are predicting a bounce. Really? Yeah. Everyone's the trouble with trading is you're always going to find opposing opinions on everything, and it all depends how they're looking at it. No one will ever tell you when. They'll say, oh yeah, S&P is going to bounce, and then it'll go down for 2 months, and then it will spring up for 2 months and completely undo all those losses and go up, and that guy will go, yeah, told you. It's like, well, it dropped for 2 months, you told me it's going to bounce. It's just no one knows what's going to happen to the markets. Inflation's going up, cost of living's going up, everybody's getting poorer, economy is not going to get better, therefore businesses are not going to make more money. Certain businesses and certain industries will. Anybody in luxury goods is going to suffer. Anybody in manufacturing is probably going to do all right. It's just, horses for courses, always is. We will get a bounce at some point. This is the problem with everything to do with trading. Trying to call the bottom. It's what everybody's trying to do all the time. Trying to call the bottom, because if you can call the bottom and get that entry spot on, you're going to make the most money you possibly can. And there's plenty of bottoms coming, but this is the one that everybody's looking at on all of these indices. Where were we before COVID? And we slammed through that. That is the most likely bounce point on all indices. Oops, can't see it on DAX. Haven't got it on the DAX, haven't got enough history. So down here, got loads of room on the NASDAQ. Push going on at the moment, quick push. Bit of indecision. Not a particularly volatile open, is it? There's nothing happening. No buying or selling. We had that little flurry there, but quiet. Very quiet. Nasdaq's not even batted an eyelid. FTSE's just made a new low. DAX is making new highs. Very slow open. Just keep an eye on this. Not a lot of volatility. It's quite big orders put in, but there's not a lot of volatility. There's not a lot of movement at the moment at the open, so we'll wait and see. It's opening positive though, which is a good sign. So I only need to get back up to 14,000 basically. Round number. just the odd little flurry of buyers coming in, but we're not making any movement. So just a bit worried we're getting a bit of resistance sitting here, but we seem to be getting through it now. I'm trying to, struggling a little bit. I'm closing two out, closing out 0.5%. Okay, there's the opening range in. Fairly big opening range. So it may well get a decent pullback now. And then see if we can get that move up. I don't want to push it any higher than that gap fill today. We could well, sort of grind up this morning, but I still think overall we're going to be aiming for a downside target today. That one, 304. This is where we put in a whacking great bearish engulfing and absolutely collapse. While we're waiting for that to do something, we'll have a look at the news. Okay, so this week we've got some selling starting to come in now. This week, basically, we haven't got a lot today. We've got monetary policy report hearings this afternoon at 3:15 for the pound. So we quite possibly get some movement off of the pound this afternoon. I don't think they're going to hang around for it. We'll have a look at all the FX pairs in a minute and go through everything. They're probably not going to hang around for it. We've had the rates released, so this isn't really something that is necessarily going to impact massively from a long-term perspective. It's basically just this is what we're going to plan to do. Unless something changes in the monetary policy report, we would expect it to just continue as normal. The pound will probably still continue to go down. So we may well get some surprises in there, though, so just be aware if you get a lot of volatility when that is released. We've got Empire State this afternoon, US dollar. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it doesn't. We've got EU forecast this morning as well, which don't tend to do anything either. We got same for the Aussie dollar, monetary policy tomorrow morning. Again, that's hit and miss. If there's something in there that is not expected from the market's perspective, that will change. Things will shift, but most of the time it tends to be as expected. It's all factored into the markets most of the time, monetary policy reports. So they kind of know what they're going to be, the analysts, so they don't tend to get too many surprises, but every now and again there's something in there which will change. We did get the votes for monetary policy changed again on the last release for the pound, so there is a possibility that will have an impact, but that will come out in the report. We've got Bullard speaking tomorrow. Then we've got retail sales for the US dollar, which could be quite a big one. We've got Powell speaking tomorrow evening as well, and Mester. We've got the wage price index, which is basically employment earnings, basically equivalent for the Australian dollar. We've got CPI, which is going to be the big one this week on Wednesday. So that's going to be the big impact for the pound. And then we've got the CAD version in the afternoon. So Wednesday is the big news day. You saw what happened off of CPI for the US dollar last week. A huge shift. So these CPI figures are the big ones. The consumer price index is basically looking at what everything is costing, and that has a direct impact on monetary policy decisions made by the central banks. So the CPI figures are very big. So these are the ones we want to be watching this week. So that's all Wednesday. So we got early morning, we've got the pound. So there'll be a lot of pound and euro movement in the morning, and then we'll have a lot of CAD and US in the afternoon before the US Open. So Wednesday is going to be a big day. So what we should be looking for this week is any movement, strong movement in one direction on the pound or the CAD ahead of the CPI figures, or even the US dollar, to be honest. To do with the CAD, that tends to shift the US dollar as well, with a view of a midweek reversal on Wednesday. So whichever way they take it today and tomorrow, if we get some big strong movement, not just general grinding in one direction or the other, but if we get some big strong movement reaching for levels ahead of these news releases, that's typically when we're going to see the reversals start to kick in. Aussie dollar, we've got unemployment on 2:30 on Thursday morning. We just getting some selling off. I think I'm getting stopped out on all of this. Yeah, stopped out on the other halves of those. Damn. Blimey, that is a big sell-off. Okay, just going to wait for this candle to close, and then going to look for some shorts. So yeah, unemployment we've got obviously on Thursday for the Australian dollar. That's just all obviously in the Asian session while we're asleep, most of us, so won't get an awful lot of trading opportunities on those, but obviously any Aussie pairs or New Zealand dollar pairs that you're in, you need to be aware of those. Got the budget release for the New Zealand dollar. Budgets don't tend to do an awful lot. We will get a little bit of whipsaw reaction during them, but you don't tend to get any real movement, so you can kind of ignore that. Philly Fed and unemployment claims, again, don't tend to do anything. Retail sales on Friday. Retail sales can quite often have a big shift. So, wrong one. So we want to be aware of that one on Friday morning. We get some decent movement off of the indices, especially off the FTSE, and pound basically will get manipulated as well. And then we've got Phil speaking on Friday as well in the morning. So that's basically the week. So the whole week is revolving around Wednesday. So everything's going to be built up for Wednesday. So we should be looking for some decent movement there. So yeah, so that's the news. So tomorrow we've got some decent market moving events, and also on Wednesday. So we've got 2 volatile days ahead of us. Today, a lot less so. Potentially this afternoon. I'm not sure we're going to get an awful lot off that, but we'll have a look at all the pound pairs in a minute and look at where we're potentially going, and where we could be heading this week, and kind of what sort of plays that the bank's potentially going to be putting in. Right. So DAX has pulled down. We're not finding any buyers here. Selling off a lot, so this looks like a short today. So banked 0.5%, lost 1%, so 0.5% down. Saying that, we're not getting a lot of buying. It seems to be coming off of that accumulation there, so we'll keep an eye on that. it does make sense to get this done this morning before, because this is going to be the main move of the day, or the main move of the next couple of days down to here. So it makes sense to come up and get this done so that they've got, they can just start selling off and just start that cycle. Quite surprised it didn't reach up and get it done, but we'll see. We are rejecting out of these lows at the minute a little bit, so just watch this for a while. What I might do is wait. It's not literally, this can be done in 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. We could be up here and be done. I'd rather wait to get up here to start shorting it than try and play along up into there, because they may well just dump it. Keep an eye on the crickets and see where we're going. But a bit of a funny open this morning. Right. Okay. So ADRs, we've not got an awful lot of ADRs today. I've still got my Swiss yen on from last week, long. Did get up to break even on it during the Asian session. I was, this is where we were on Friday. I banked 1.5% on Friday. I can't remember what I did on Friday. It's ages ago. Let's have a quick look at what we banked, because I closed out a load of positions on Friday. So Swiss yen, I closed out some of these buys. Let's get to a bigger time frame so we can have a look. So closed out that one there, closed out that one there. I think there was more than that. I thought there was more Swissies, or was it just the two I closed out? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, so I just closed out those two Swissies, because obviously with the Euro odd, I closed out all the Euro odd and got out of that completely. So flat Euro odd. Difficult trade that. Spent a week basically just sitting in accumulation. So I just exited the whole lot and got out of it, done with it. Wasn't really going anywhere. Quite glad I did actually, because we're pushing up a little bit this morning. So there was more Swiss yens, yeah, I thought there was. So there's those two Swiss yens as well that I made profit on. So I had 3 positions down there, which took off 2 of them. And then we accumulated basically for the rest of the day for whole of New York. So I decided at the end of New York to take those last 2 off. So just basically reducing exposure on it, because I had 9 positions on it. So I reduced that down to 5, and obviously used some of the profit. I had about $300 profit or something on Friday, so I used 100 and a bit of that just to reduce the drawdown on that position. So holding that one, Swiss yen, it's the only one I've got on at the minute. Yen is still a bit of a mystery. We've had this ever such gradual decline happening over the last couple of weeks, and then we dumped on Friday and Thursday last week on all of them. So yeah, big dump from the yen, or rather big strength from the yen. So we've had the reverse a lot on the hourly. We have pushed up. We're pulling back at the moment. I'm looking for a move back up on the Swiss yen specifically, looking for a move back up into this support. And then I'm not sure what we're going to do. I still think the yen is going to weaken. I don't think we are seeing the yen strength kicking in now long term. I think this is just a temporary move, and we're going to get continuation to the upside. There's nothing changed on the yen. The yen is still weak. The monetary policy from the Bank of Japan and Kuroda is basically saying that they are happy for it to devalue further. They're not ready to make their move as such yet. So I think this is basically just a false move, and we're going to start to see that sort of price action moving back up again. So I've kept those long positions on. I'll be keeping a close eye on it. If we get back down into this sort of area, I may well close these out, because I'll be able to close these out at break even down here, and then just reevaluate and just see what happens to price, because I'm not quite sure when they're going to sort of move this. Selling off again the DAX now. Let me just move all this out of the way. Yeah, DAX is going short. Do I want to get in short on this? Tricky. See what happens when we get down here. We might get a bounce down here. Certainly looks like it wants to go short though, doesn't it, this morning? Which means that we're leaving basically these gaps on all of the indices open to the upside. Obviously the Globex session's filled. Yeah, I suppose the Globex session's filled that, isn't it? So we'll watch those. So yeah, sorry, going back to the yens. Aussie dollar yen has hit ADR today, so we've had this big movement on the yens overnight, which is what brought me to my Swiss yen and all that rambling. So we had this big dump, basically. Nice strength coming back through on the yen this morning during the Asian session, which has just basically faded out. So this is just a dump of orders, basically. You can see how algorithmic this is. This is just order execution. Pull back, pull back, pull back, done. So that's one order being executed by a bank. Yeah, all done now. Don't need to worry about it anymore. So now the market's just sitting here in accumulation, waiting for its next move. So this is what I think we saw last week, was just summary execution of orders, basically. I don't think this is a continuation strength move on the yen. So I'm looking for longs still on yen pairs. So Aussie dollar yen, we hit ADR this morning, came straight off of ADR, back down at support to the pip, and we've stalled off the bottom. CAD yen, same thing, nice big drop straight down into this accumulation, rejected at 100 ADR, and New Zealand dollar yen's done the same thing. So we've just stopped there. So if you're, as I am, inclined to be long on yen pairs, assuming that we're going to get a continuation of weakness on the yen, these are all really good reverse alerts to take this morning. Good ADRs. We just had reverse alerts on M5. They've retested as well. So nice looking long opportunities. From a scalp perspective, obviously you've got little targets to aim for in these accumulation, these sort of propulsion drops. But longer term, I think we've got more upside on all of these. But obviously we're just coming out of a downtrend at the moment. So we're just trying to pick, as always, trying to find the bottom on this move. So it could well be down here. This is basically on the hourly chart. This is basically a resistance bounce, a support bounce rather, with a retest, reverse alert and retest. So you got target there, and obviously the ultimate target is up there. But if we are going to continue as we are at the moment for the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should see a return back up to there. So all depends. I thought Japan came out with some pretty hawkish comments last week regarding Forex market intervention. I wasn't following the markets too closely, thought it was, as I was going on holiday. It is. Japan's got a plan. Japan's got a very, very good long-term plan to get itself out of it, but it also came out and said we're not going to implement it yet. So there is a long-term plan, but at the moment the yen is weak. It's had what you're seeing here. The thing you've got to bear in mind at the moment is almost every currency is weak at the minute. Yeah, the way that the financial situation is going across the entire world at the moment is bearish. Everything is bearish. The indices are bearish. Stocks are bearish. Currencies are bearish. Economies, cost of living is going up. Everything's getting bad, which is bad for all currencies. So when you've got everything being weak, any signs of any strength whatsoever will, in any currency, in this case the yen, will make everything against the yen tank. It doesn't mean the yen is strong. It means everything is weak at the moment, and we've just had a little bit of strength coming through on one currency. Look at the US dollar. The US dollar is about the only thing that is actually strong at the moment, and you can see it. So where we've had this yen strength, that, like, look at the others. So for example, look at the New Zealand dollar yen. Yeah, New Zealand dollar yen since, where are we? April, end of April, has been coming down very, very hard. Pound yen coming down hard. Euro yen come down hard. Yeah, everything's come down hard. US dollar yen sideways, because you've got a strong currency, and you've got a currency which is strengthening up and smashing everything else to pieces, but not the US dollar, because the US dollar is strong. So US dollar is strong. Every other currency at the moment is weak. The reason you're seeing all of this dropping is not because the yen is really strong. Yes, it is a bit stronger, but it's not particularly strong. It's just everything else has got no leg to stand on at the moment. And it's the same as with the euro. What we've been witnessing with the euro over the last 2 years, the euro basically has been flatlined. So whenever a currency strengthens or weakens against the euro goes up and down. This is not the euro moving anything. This is the Australian dollar strengthening up and weakening, strengthening, weakening, strengthening, weakening. Yeah, the euro's not doing anything. The euro's just dead. Has been for ages. And the pound is getting to that point now as well, where the pound is very similar. So this is why I'm finding it very difficult to trade any of these at the minute, because the yen pairs are on the verge, I think, of getting strong at some point. We had, I think it was in February, Kuroda announced their grand plan, basically to dig themselves out of their financial debts, to recover all the losses from COVID, to basically get the economy back on track. And the world went, wow, that's awesome. And it looked great, it looked executable, and it's all fantastic. What they didn't say was when they're going to execute it. Like everybody else is saying, we're going to stop bond purchases here, we're going to stop this there, we're going to see rate increases happening here, there and there. Yen haven't actually said anything about that sort of thing. They've hinted at it, but there's no solid plans in place. So the market tends to react to it intermittently rather than bang, going for it, which is what we tend to see. Things like the FOMC, we get the FOMC happening, we get CPI figures released on the US, and those are the catalysts. Those are when the market goes, yep, now we can see that the central bank is going to start to do it. The Fed's going to do this, therefore that's going to happen, and we're going to go long or short. You don't get that with the yen. We don't get that news. So with the yen, you don't get yen news. Yeah, there's nothing forecast or regularly released from the Bank of Japan that gives us these timing elements. We just have to go on hints, and this is why the yen's always been used as a safe haven, because it's always been seen as a very, very strong economy. When the war kicked in, it wasn't. Everything flew into the Aussie dollar and the New Zealand dollar. The yen just didn't get by the cherry as it normally does. So that's why I'm kind of steering clear as much as possible of the yens, because I think we're going to see volatility. These things at any moment could do that, but equally they could do that. There's no real guide as such with the yen as to when things are going to happen and where they're going to go. The only real hint we've had is the Bank of Japan saying they're going to take this thing up to 135. which means devaluing the yen. Or they're not taking it up there, but they wouldn't be concerned about hitting 135 against the US dollar yen. Hence the sort of bearishness on the yen, expecting us to go long, which is why I've got the long on the Swiss yen. But I'm not going to expose myself to anything more than 1 yen pair. Because if it's wrong, obviously, and that is going to go crazy. And when the yen powers up, it's going to go. So you don't want to be on the wrong side of it. But yeah, tricky yen pairs at the minute. So we've got ADR hits on them, and they are from my opinion, they are ADR hits to the right side. They're ADR hits to the lows. We're looking for longs. So the best thing to do with these that have hit ADR is look at them on the higher time frames and see if we're in a decent level on any of them. Yeah. So we're midline on the Aussie, on the hourly, 4 hourly, we're kind of midline. CAD yen, sort of mid-range. New Zealand yen, same thing. So if we hit ADR and we're extended on the RSI as well, double bubble set up for a long there. But at the moment, none of them are. So I'm not really particularly interested in any of these. But you know, you can see the strength. I mean, the CAD yen. The CAD's probably the best one to take of the lot, because the CAD we know is strong, along with the US dollar. But the CAD is very much linked to what's going to be happening with oil. So the problem with that is that could change at a moment's notice with what's going on with the war. Morning, Stevie. So yeah, I mean, CAD's also fairly difficult. It's nice and easy to take long opportunities. When we do get extended on the CAD, you know, long opportunities are great to take, because we know the CAD's got some strength. It's got some fundamental oomph behind it, same as the US dollar. So it's a good one to take opportunities on. But when you're trading against the yen, if the yen powers up, CAD is not going to survive against the yen. So everything will dump against the yen when the yen wants to go. Too big and too fast. So I'm just watching the DAX on my other monitor. We've got a lovely 3-bar reversal going in on the DAX. I'm just wondering if this initial dump of the morning is going to get faded back up. Looking for this kind of continuation move before they dump. So just keeping an eye on this. I've decided I want to short it, but I don't really want to short it. I kind of hate having these little hanger-oners. You know, these get filled. We know they get filled. Gaps get filled. I'd be very surprised if they didn't fill that before they went for the long one, because that's so much further away, that gap to the downside. This is so close and easy to do. I'm really surprised they haven't just done it, which is what's making me sort of sit here and wait, be patient. I'd love to short it out of there if we can get there. We'll see. So ADRs today, we got 3, all yens. Hourly RSIs, we got nothing. 4-hour RSIs, we've got a few to look at, but we'll go through all the pairs basically, have a quick whiz through everything. Main thing is the New Zealand dollar CAD. So New Zealand dollar obviously weak at the moment, CAD strong. This thing's been screaming down. This is the one we had the breakout of that symmetrical triangle, which absolutely tanked. Really nice symmetrical triangle break. This is absolute textbook. When you look at patterns, anybody that sort of teaches pattern trading, or any books you read on pattern trading, a lot of them will say, if the pattern looks unsure, leave it. Yeah. When you get a pattern that looks this clean as a symmetrical triangle, these are the ones that you really want to get on. They just look absolutely perfect. Yeah. The angles are everything's just the way it's moved within the triangle is just perfect. It's just bang, gone, and it hasn't stopped since. So yeah, really nice break to the downside. Can never hold this sort of thing. This is a swing trade. You know, this is an institutional or an investment sort of time frame. 4 hour. You're looking to hold for weeks and months out of these things. It's not something I can do. I'm in and out If I'm in profit by a couple of hundred pips, I'm out. But yeah, lovely textbook break. But we've had now 4 weeks solid down, 5 weeks actually, including last week now. So very nicely extended on the 4 hour. We've been extended on the 4 hour before, and as I say, Canadian dollar is strong. The New Zealand dollars and the Aussie dollar are going through a bit of a weak period. So 5 weeks down is a lot. So I would be looking now for some kind of pullback on this, some kind of weakness to start to show on the Canadian dollar. We haven't got any news on the CAD this week. We haven't. Have we got anything next week? Yeah, we've got retail sales. And sorry, we have got CAD. No, sorry, we've got CPI, haven't we? God, of course we have. Yeah, so CAD this week, this could be it. We could get negative CPI figures, which will be the catalyst to get this pullback started. So very, very nicely extended down here. Looking at support resistance levels on this one, you've obviously got nothing recent because of the strength of the move, but going back to the daily, we're approaching, and it's only an ADR, well, half an ADR away now. We're approaching quite a strong support from February 2020. So you know, this is the low, the COVID sort of low, if you like, for the New Zealand dollar CAD, and we're just approaching that. We will get a bounce from there. We saw it on the pound, didn't we, last week? When you get down to these levels, you always get a bounce. Whether they hold or not is irrelevant, but you always get a bounce because there are institutional limit orders sitting there. Yeah, there's a ton of orders sitting here ready to take a trade. Anybody that is longing this long term, there's no stop sitting under here. You know, these guys are out. They're not stupid. When they see that starting to happen, you know, you're out of an institutional order there. So there's no stops there, but there will be limit orders there. There will be people looking to buy this up as a double bottom bounce. It's a round number as well. So it's going to get a bounce down there if we can get down there. So good one to start looking at. It's very, very, very extended. CPI could well be the catalyst we need to push down to that level to get that bounce. But obviously if the CPI figures all come out as positive for the CAD, that is going to be good for it. Therefore, we will see this one continue to go down, but I would be very, very, very surprised if we don't get some kind of bounce, and they could well use the news to manipulate it. If the figures come out as expected, we probably won't see a massive movement, but want to be watching this level. In fact, I might stick a little alert on that just to if we get to 125 ADR, start having a look at that, building a long position, taking a couple of positions down here. It's not necessarily going to, you know, it doesn't go boing like that. Somewhere around here, we will be looking for some kind of movement. Just watching the movement coming in. Anybody trading crypto, by the way? Remember I bought up Ethereum down here last week and then got out up here. I was watching an interesting thing with an interview with Elon Musk over the weekend about how much Bitcoin he's holding and how much Doge, and you know, basically obviously didn't tell us exactly what he's holding, but there's a lot of Bitcoin he's got. And there's talks of Bitcoin and Ethereum mergers happening, which is obviously going to shake this thing up, which is, again, another reason I don't trade it, because if someone like Elon Musk can turn around and say things and then, oh, we're going to merge Ethereum and Bitcoin, blah, 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 you know, these things can go anywhere. Too many things driving them that I don't understand, which is why I don't trade them. But it's cheap at the minute. Yeah, everything's cheap. Everything's dropped dramatically. But these are now linked to the indices very much. When we're getting down movements on the indices, we're getting down movements on crypto as well, because they've been sort of accepted a little bit more as an investment vehicle now. You're finding there are percentages of portfolios now invested in crypto. Obviously high risk, but it is in there. So, we're seeing these moving along with the indices because they're becoming part of not central banks so much, but investment houses portfolios. So it's interesting that we've just had sort of a bottom put in here as we were looking at the drops on the indices, expecting a little bit of a pullback on the US indices, potentially looking at pullbacks on these. So with the crypto, I think we've obviously got a big drop starting to kick in at the moment, but we're also miles away from these moving averages. So anybody that's trading these at the minute, obviously I'd be looking for a little bit more of a pushback to the upside on these at the minute, the same as on the US indices, but we are getting close to starting next leg down as well on a lot of these US indices as well. So but yeah, no, I was just interested to see if anybody's trading it, because they've dropped basically off a cliff. Obviously with that Luna collapse, Luna basically just went to zero. I think it went from $139 or $119 to 80 cents in 24 hours. Again, why I don't trade it. Hopefully you didn't have any money in Luna. If you did, you lost a lot. So yeah, just be aware. And obviously part of that is why this is obviously all dumped. So, but it's cheap. Yeah, everybody buys stuff when it's cheap. After big drops, everybody buys it. So good potential longs, but as I say, I'm not trading it myself. Okay, so that's it for the RSIs. We got the other thing on the RSIs is the CAD Swiss, which is obviously off to the moon at the minute. Swiss franc's particularly weak at the moment, along with the euro. So again, we're massively extended up there. From a daily level, what have we got coming up on the daily? Got miles to go. Nearest potential daily resistances are all the way up here, miles away. So obviously that's only really a couple of ADR away. So if we can get up there by sort of Wednesday, we may well get a decent movement. We could well push up there with the CPI figures for the CAD. Obviously it's the inverse to the New Zealand dollar CAD, where we'd be looking for it to be pushed down. So either way, manipulation on the CAD at some point this week, but it's not quite ripe, not quite ready for me yet. But nicely extended. If you want to start building a position, obviously you can start building anytime. Get ready for that bounce. Start building a position to escape when we do get that movement. Right, so we'll have a look through everything very briefly. Setting an alert on the DAX as well when we get back up to these highs. So that's the high. Sorry, that's the opening range high there. Let me just move that down. So that's where we opened. That was the Frankfurt Exchange open high there, which we didn't get up into where we closed on Friday. And all we've done is basically pull up inside of that. So if we can get back up into here, this is where I'm going to start getting interested in building a short position. Right, Aussie dollar CAD. So looking at the 4 hours, I'm just looking for levels basically, seeing if there's any levels that are particularly interesting for potentially taking some trades from. With regards to position trading, as you can see, I'm starting to get into a bit more position trading. I'm still keeping my risk very, very light. So I'm only getting into really one position on each currency at the moment rather than two. I did on the euro last week get into two. I almost regretted it. Managed to get out of both of those euros with a nice profit, but I don't really want to get overexposed at the minute, just sort of creeping back into it. But the market is turning back to normality more now. We're seeing more buy and sell cycles starting to kick in. The war has become a little bit normal now, I think. We've just got another war going on. There's less information coming out of Russia. The Putin effect isn't happening at the moment. Where we had the war starting to kick off, there was everything that came out of Putin's mouth moved the market dramatically. That isn't happening anymore. So I think we're returning a little bit more to normality, but obviously everything is looking bearish. So I'm looking really for shorts almost on everything at the moment. I'm looking for things to get to levels that look logical for shorting opportunities. So that's really my plays at the moment. The problem is everything is coming down so fast and hard most of the time. It's quite difficult to find opportunities to get in. But that's what I'm looking for. Support resistance bounces to the upside on most pairs at the moment. Andy, Putin quiet over Finland, Sweden joining NATO. Months ago he was threatening all sorts if they were going to join. They called his bluff by the looks of things. Yeah, they have called his bluff. They came out yesterday. I'm surprised we haven't had a statement coming out of Russia. Yeah, nothing. Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister, the global situation will change drastically after the Swedish decision to join NATO. Okay. Quite shocked. This trouble with all these things that come out, how do you read that? What is this global? What is the global situation as far as Russia is concerned at the moment, and how is it going to change? Are they just going to nuke Sweden because if they join NATO they don't want them, so they'll get rid of it? Is that how they class the global situation changing, or is it to do with trade, or what? It's like this doesn't help anybody, does it? Could mean 1,000 things. Yeah, so there's nothing coming out of Russia, but we could well get something today. Obviously, with what's going on with those two. So looking basically for pullbacks at the moment. Nothing really interesting out. We are nicely extended on the 4 hour down there. We haven't got a pullback, we've got an accumulation. This is part of the problem at the minute. A lot of the stuff that is massively weak, especially things like the Aussie dollar and the New Zealand dollar against the CAD, because we've got a strong CAD. So the CAD and the US dollar are the only things really at the moment you can say we're fairly confident that we should see continued strength in them at the moment. But like we just said, things can change very dramatically, very quickly at the moment. So anything against the CAD and the US dollar, looking for short opportunities. What we're seeing when we're getting extended on RSI at the moment is we're seeing more accumulations than pullbacks, which is what we are used to making our money on. But because the market is so heavy, the pullbacks are harder to achieve. The profit take moves are harder to achieve for the market participants because you've got so much selling pressure coming on. So it takes some big strong moves to actually get these pullbacks happening. So looking for levels basically like these lows here for short opportunities, and ultimately that low there where we pushed up into, looking for bounces back out of those sorts of levels there. So looking for pullbacks up into there. We are extended down here, so that sort of movement rather than that is more likely, but obviously it's going to be based on CPI figures for the CAD. Just getting some movement on the DAX. We'll pull back inside the opening range. So I've got a long position on my other account on the DAX at the moment because I hadn't traded it this morning. So I'm just seeing where potentially I want to get out of that. It's a round number, I guess. Whoops. And take the rest off at the gap fill. There we go. Diamond, my take on that response to Sweden and or Finland joining NATO: Russia will increase offensive weapons deployments throughout Russian aligned territories, increasing tensions in Europe. Yeah, I mean that's what I think. I think it's 800 kilometers or something. Those two, the border with Russia, there's about 800 kilometers those two countries share with Russia. They will bolster obviously defences along those areas, aren't they? It's like it's a military map basically. We got Russia, and we got all the countries around Russia. Obviously, Ukraine is the one that's getting it at the moment, but you got the other borders here, and Russia's just going to basically sit with troops there. That is all it's going to be. It's just tensions at borders, and this is, what you see happening, and then all of a sudden it spills out, and that's when wars start, isn't it? So yeah, it's worrying. But at the same time, he knows damn well that it's the world against Russia. So he's not going to do anything that stupid, I don't think, as to start a massive conflict with NATO. But it's only going to take one missile going the wrong direction, isn't it? Which is why I'm being very cautious about getting into too many positions at the minute, because we saw what happened when the Ukraine war kicked off. Stuff like the pound and the euro just collapsed. If you're on the wrong side of that, it's an account buster. You need to be out. So that's why I'm being a little bit more cautious and swaying more towards other currencies if possible. Things that are going to be safer, that aren't going to get involved in conflict. But there's not many of them out there because everybody's in NATO. So yeah, but anyway, less of the war. Let's focus on where we think things might be headed, assuming things are going to continue normal for the next month, which is what we want. Aussie dollar Swiss. So Aussie dollar CAD looking for pullbacks. Aussie dollar Swiss. At the moment, this one's in an accumulation. Difficult to take positions on. We looked at these lows. I sold short down to these lows. These lows, obviously, we got a lovely little bounce out of, but it's really a descending kind of wedge, descending sort of channel we've got at the moment. That's where we took the shorts, because we were seeing lower lows being put in, so we anticipated the new lower low, which worked out beautifully. We've come down into the lows. We've got a lovely bounce back up again. So if this channel is going to continue, we could well see us pushing back down to make new lows. We didn't make a lower low there, so we still need to make a lower low off of this lower high. Equally, we could push up into this area here out of this accumulation and then start to find selling pressure up there. But basically, in the day, it's a range. So right now, we're sort of coming out of the bottom of the range. We're looking to target somewhere up there. So you've got to be trading this on low time frames, basically. So looking at the hourly, you're just looking for decent price action and reversal alerts down at the lows, and somewhere around the highs, you're looking for similar sort of things. So if we got up to sort of 175 ADR, obviously not today, but this sort of level over the next few days, that's where you want to be shorting, somewhere up there. They think we'll wait till winter, then cut gas supplies to Finland and EU in general. They think EU will then negotiate. Well, EU's going to have alternatives in place by winter, so it won't make any difference. Most of it, anyway. There's other people that supply it. Russia's got US has got a massive surplus of oil. It's just more expensive. This is the problem. Our bills are going up dramatically on energy as it is, and it's more expensive to get it from other places. The infrastructure's in place to get it cheaply from Russia, but you know, it's the same as anything. You know, if BMW stop manufacturing cars, we're not going to stop driving cars. We're just going to buy other cars that might not be as good, might not be as cheap, you know, or whatever. You know, you just use an alternative. So yeah, but not pretty. So yeah, Aussie dollar Swiss, looking for shorts somewhere up there on that one at the moment, or obviously long at the moment, but look at getting out up at the highs up there somewhere. Aussie dollar yen, same as all the other yen pairs, very, very difficult to read at the moment. We've come off beautifully of resistance. We've got another level there, and obviously we've got this level as well to look at. So there's a few areas I think we've still got some more upside on us up to these sort of areas here, but ultimately, you know, this thing could well do that if the yen doesn't get bullish. Then we're just going to see everything gradually grind away at the yen. The yen is getting weaker than everything else when it is weak. So, which is why we've seen obviously this massive run up. But this was off the back of the war, obviously, with the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar being the main beneficiaries when the war kicked off. So, bearish price action going on in the DAX. Yeah, I've been hearing that coming in ever so slightly over here. It's very, very, very slow though. Not, you know, it's not. It's just another. Bleh. It's not going anywhere, is it? At the minute, I'm kind of wanting to scale into a bigger move today. I'm just not sure where. I mean, this is a good looking potential short opportunity there. But equally can go either way. If we break these lows, then I think, yeah, we're probably done. And then we can look for pullbacks and shorts. But the initial move of the day is, you know, you got 50-50 shot of the initial move of the day being where we're going to go for the session. So many times the initial move of the day is just completely undone, and then we grind off on a trend in the opposite direction. You know, look at, and then we're off. So not convinced on it at the minute. I'm not trading it really. Not sure which way it wants to go today. So yeah, Aussie dollar yen. There's very little. This accumulation here is what we were looking at for a bounce. It slammed through that. Next level we've got is here. Obviously, this was just pretty much a straight up move from here to here. So it's very difficult to spot anywhere in here that we're going to get a bounce from. We have had a little bounce. We've pulled back, so potentially we could continue to the upside if we break back above this level here. Continue back up. I think this is basically, if it was in any other time in our, you know, over the last 3 or 4 years of trading, you'd have seen this just be a range at the moment. It's just that we've got such weakness across the board that we're seeing this breakdown. But I think this is not really a strong move by the yen. I think this is just an accumulation. That's just the Aussie dollar's got a little bit weaker than the yen. It just happens to have pushed it down a bit further. But there's no reason for it to be turning anywhere in here, and there's no reason for it to really have got down into this area. So don't know, difficult. I'm not really, as I say, the yen's are a little bit of a mystery at the minute. Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, as you can see, this one's bullish, so we'd be looking for longs on this at the minute. We got into a nice little long down there, and that's played out beautifully, screamed above the highs, went up for 2 weeks solid. So looking for some kind of bounce off of the 24. We are accumulating last week. So we're looking basically to set up the next move. There's news obviously on the Aussie dollar this week. We got a fair amount of Aussie dollar. We've got the unemployment change, and we've got the wage price index for the Aussie, and the monetary policy meeting minutes tomorrow. So got a lot of Aussie dollar news. Again, I would normally rely on the COT report to give me a directional bias on this, but at the moment the COT report is not really doing an awful lot. I haven't had a look at it this week either. I'm just not even paying attention to it at the moment. Yeah, the pound is not strong. CAD's flipped short. US dollar weak. Aussie dollar. Yeah, so that's flipped long back to short again. But you know, everything's kind of. Listen, I mean, most things are pretty neutral. Yeah. Plus minus 5 really is not really got a directional bias. You know, that is a strong directional bias. That is a strong directional bias. That's a strong directional bias. These are flip-flopping, neutral. Yeah, and you know, things like the euro. Yeah, we've been flip-flopping for absolutely months, years, basically. No strength either way. Yeah, so it's just been pushed around by everything else. So Aussie dollar is a short, so maybe we might get some weakness coming through on those on all the news announcements, which will pull it back down again. But the Aussie dollar is always going to be stronger than the New Zealand dollar. It's a bigger country, it's a bigger economy, therefore it's always going to be stronger. So looking for any kind of pullbacks for long opportunities. Bounce on the 24 potentially somewhere around here to build a position, anywhere in that zone really, within, you know, sort of an ADR and a half, you can just build a position ready for the next move up. But at the moment, sideways, not going anywhere. Gold's touched ADR low. It has. Gold is selling off. Is that US dollar strength this morning? Yeah, this US dollar strength. Again, gold is very similar at the moment to everything else. Gold is being pushed around by the US dollar. If the US dollar goes up, gold goes down. If the US dollar goes down, gold goes up. Again, same thing. It's just kind of neutral. I would expect gold to get bought up in times of crisis. We did get bought up, and then we sold off and accumulated. Looked like we were going to rally and then collapsed, basically off of the US dollar strength. So there's no strength in gold at all. It's being pushed around by the US dollar. Lovely lows we're getting down to. So we looked at this level here last week. So we've got this accumulation. We've got this accumulation. Yeah, so we've got two areas of balance next to each other. So that is kind of just one big area of balance where we would expect to get a move out of. And that will just be the natural breathing of strength in the US dollar, weakness, profit takes, strength in the US dollar. Yeah, so some point down here we should expect gold to start to rise back up again. DAX pushing up again. Really weird market today. We're holding on. We're waiting for news. We've got big week ahead of us. I don't think the market's really interested at the moment. It wants to see what happens tomorrow. So where did I get to? Aussie, New Zealand, Aussie, US. So yeah, US dollar obviously big, strong, beating everything up at the moment. Hence this massive drop. Again, I'll be looking for short opportunities on it when we get up to support resistance. So looking on lower time, on a higher time frame, we've got multiple levels that we can look at on this. It's a very difficult thing at the minute. It's lots of long-term accumulation in there. We have had a reversal long. I'd rather be looking for short opportunities. I think somewhere up around this low here. This accumulation obviously could be where it's going to pop out of, in which case obviously it's started to go already. So if you look at M15, we had a reversal alert on it this morning in the Asian session. But yeah, it's difficult to call this one. It's very choppy, big strong moves down, lots of accumulation. So it's moving in fits and spurts basically. I'd be looking around these lows here, somewhere around there, to start to build a position short if it can get up there, which basically by that time you will have the 24 coming down on top. So looking for shorts somewhere around the 24. But yeah, short opportunities, Aussie, US, there's nothing at the moment. So not interested in that. CAD pushing up high. Obviously Canadian dollar is strong, Swiss franc weak at the minute. We are extended on RSI. You're likely to get a pullback on this, but obviously we've got news, so kind of just waiting to see what happens with news this week. I want to try and get into positions ready ahead of the news, but there's nothing really that's getting to any decent levels at the moment. We've got so far to go on this one before we get to any decent daily levels. It's just a case of, if you're going to take a short on it, you're kind of just gambling on the fact that we're going to get a weak Canadian dollar news, which could well happen. But there's no fundamental reason to be shorting CAD at the moment, and there's no technical reason to be shorting CAD at the moment. So you should be longing it, but if you're longing it up at the highs after it's massively extended. So how far is it going to run? It's not tradable. CAD yen, same as all the other yens. Again, be looking for long opportunities. The long opportunity was last week, which has started to play out, which is obviously, I'm in the Swiss version of this from here. So Swiss yen, same thing, long opportunities. Euro odd, at the moment, obviously this gives you a good indication, the euro odd, of the weakness in the other currencies. The euro is probably the weakest currency we have at the moment. And it's been that way for years. Obviously the war completely destroyed the euro against a number of different currencies. It managed to pull back and it's dropped again. This has been making gains against the euro and the New Zealand, against the Aussie dollar and the New Zealand. We're up in a really nice area of potential resistance back up at this high. We put in a lovely double top and a reversal alert, which we're now just pulling back into. So I'd be looking for shorts on this. This one looks like a really good short. I was in this one obviously last week, as you know, if you were here. I got in when we got extended and I got out there because we haven't gone anywhere, but it's still the same. I'm still bearish on the euros, and when we break these lows properly, I think we've got a really good strong drop ahead of us, but it's just not managing to get anywhere at the moment. So looking for short opportunities on it. So if you want to trade this, look at hourlies. If you get an hourly RSI extension, any euros, if you get an extension on the hourly, you can be pretty much assured you're going to get at least a pullback, if not that reversal starting. If you can get extended on the 4 hourly, obviously even better. Yeah, so it's just a case of waiting for it to get into a right spot. At the moment it's kind of midline. If you look at this area of support resistance here and there, well, so we bounced off of it there. This one we bounced off of here, so we are coming down, but right now we're kind of middle-ish, so not in a very good spot. If this can get a push up somewhere up into here, yeah, I'll be looking for short opportunities on it, but not right now. Euro CAD, same thing, shorted this one. We got nicely extended. This one I took a pullback. Can't quite remember why I got into this one. This must have been an hourly, I think. So we started building a position on this one. Got out of that one with a loss and that one with a loss. But the rest of it, as we got extended up into the 4, collapsed at resistance. So got out of all this. So again, waiting for pullbacks on the Euro CAD. CAD strong, Euro weak. So looking basically for any kind of pullback to get into short opportunities. RSI extensions on the hourly, reversal alerts, short. So just waiting for it to get up somewhere that we can get into short opportunities on. Got a nice potential resistance in there. Yeah, so we had a little bounce off of it there, and then we slammed through. So if we can get ourselves back up to there, that'd be great to start scaling in. We've got this one here in this propulsion gap, which is at 175 ADR. So if we can get back up into this area as well, yeah, that's where I'd like to short. Anywhere out of there, so getting one there, just wait for the next leg to start. But right now, it's just not in the right place. Euro Swiss. So Euro Swiss obviously is the one we've had this massive down move on. The euro has been weaker than the Swiss because the Swiss has been powering up based on banks moving money around. That's happening a lot less now since the banking sort of structures changed. War kicked in, recovered, and the Swissies basically been all over the place since then. The Euro Swiss is the worst of the lot because obviously these guys move fairly well together because it's the whole of the Eurozone basically. So it's very difficult to call direction on this. If you look at it from the RSI, obviously you see I've got some nice shorts in on that there. Pretty much whenever you get extended on it, you've got an opportunity to get in the other way. So it's, you know, sort of reacting very nicely off of the RSI at the moment because these have got, it's a no strength against a no strength. If it does manage to get a move that takes it to an extension on RSI, you're likely to get it just fizzle out because they can't sustain strong moves for any period of time because neither of these currencies have got any strength in them. So you're going to get that happening. It's just you might have to sit through it for a week or so, as we saw with the other euros that I was trading, you know, the euro odd and the euro cad, sitting there for a week waiting for something to happen. Euro Swiss is no different. So last week was the short on it. You got out of that short. We're just waiting for this to get to another level of extension, I think, at the moment. So just waiting. You can look at it on the lower time frames as well. You know, big drop. If we get to some extensions, you know, scale into a few positions out. So yeah, just waiting for euro to get to a level of extension. More likely to get extended toward the upside. This isn't really a propulsion gap, this one, because it's pushed up and then dropped. If it had dropped from there, that would be a nice propulsion gap, so kind of ignore that. But don't ignore the highs. If we can get up to those highs, drops from up there. But yeah, nothing really interesting. Euro pound, again, another one really difficult to trade. It's very, very weak against very, very weak, as you can see. It's just a choppy mess. It's just a very wide range at the minute, followed by an explosion out because of weak pound or a little bit of euro strength or something. But you've got two currencies which are weak against each other at the moment, so whichever one has that good bit of news is going to get a big movement, and then it's just going to go into another accumulation. So looking at levels, we came off these highs, back down to there. So again, another one you can look at RSI extensions on, same as the Euro Swiss. Whenever you're getting any decent extension on RSI, you know, you're going to get a short. You see, I've got some lovely shorts on it there. Longs from down there, longs from down there. Scaled in a couple of times to get out there. You know, it's just anything that is basically a weak against a weak or a strong against a strong. You can look at the look to the RSI for strength of movement to be undone with profit take movement, because you've got nothing that's really going to go strong unless obviously there's a fundamental shift. So which is why we keep our eyes on the news. CPI figures for the pound, for example, on Wednesday, if this comes out as completely positive, yeah, if the CPI comes out at something like 6, that'd be amazing. It's not going to happen, but if it did, the pound is going to go through the roof. So you know, that is when you're going to have to look at things like this and go, right, okay, we're not going to be looking for short opportunities on it anymore. We're only going to be looking for long opportunities. So yeah, just at the moment this thing's sideways, but Wednesday, keep your eyes. So there's nothing really tradable here at the moment until Wednesday. CPI figures are likely to come out as negative. If they come out as expected for the pound, I don't think it's going to be particularly amazing, but I don't know. We'll see. You can't tell what's going to happen. Euro yen longs, but again, this is the weakest of the week, so it's going to have the most difficulty getting up there. So at the moment, I can't really trade euro yen. It's my least favourite thing to trade, I think, at the moment, because you just got no idea what's going to happen with it, and it's really based on the yen. You can see how much this got pushed around last week compared to the others. This one fared a lot worse because obviously it's just got no strength whatsoever. So a bit of buying coming in on the DAX. We're just attempting new highs. These highs here, we're just retesting. So if we can break through those highs, we should have a good run up to the opening range high. A little bit buying. Very, very weak market. Very weak market this morning. I think gold can still test a bit lower, around 1775. Decent liquidity. Where do I get to? Euro yen. Yeah, I mean, you got this whole area down here, from this low here and this low here, basically. There's, you know, if you look at that low and that low, which are the most recent lows, basically, we've tested that area, and it's rejected quite strong out of there. But you know, this whole bit here is a very strong rejection area. So anywhere down here, just because it's bounced off of it, doesn't mean it's not going to come down. But there are going to be a lot of people buying down here. There's also going to be a lot of buy orders sitting down here as well in this area. So you know, if you want to position trade gold, start to scale in now. I mean, it's obviously bounced quite dramatically, so you'd be taking a first position up there, but look to scale in again when we get down to there for a second bounce, i.e., you know, double bottom. Failing that, you're going to need to scale in sort of 200 to 300% ADR, and you're likely to get a bounce down here at some point. But gold is very, you know, you know, it's orderly when it normally moves. It's just that if you're on the wrong side of it when it decides to do one of those, that's the thing. That's why I don't trade it, because if you get on the wrong side of it when it wants to go short like that, it doesn't stop. You know, it's just very, very difficult to trade if you get it wrong. If you get it right, it can make you a lot of money. But you know, people don't concentrate. People focus on the profit. They don't focus on the risk, and that's the problem. You know, if you're looking to make profit, gold's a fantastic vehicle. But equally, you know, if you were longing this, like thinking it's going to long, you could long this for weeks and be wrong continuously. You know, it's just one of those things. That's why I don't like it. Sorry, I was just going to say something else then, but I decided not to. I've said it before many times. Gold just kicks me in the butt. So yeah, euro yen we covered. Longs, but not very long. It's just not a great looking trade at the moment. DAX, nice move up. 436. Got $1,000 profit running at the minute. I'm just going to close some of this out. That one and that one. So gap fill is at 14,000. there. There. Okay. Right. So yeah, so DAX basically. I've been playing this long. I scaled in there. So I'm looking to get out of all of this around about these highs, and obviously the gap fill, and then flip short, assuming we get some bearish price action. Euro yen, Euro New Zealand. Again, Euro New Zealand and Euro odd very, very similar. Euro's been making good gains against these two. I'd be looking for short opportunities. H4, we just had a reversal up. We got extended, so the short was there last week. We're just retesting at the moment. So again, looking for short opportunities on this one. Hourly, obviously look for shorts. Doesn't matter which of these time frames really you look at, because what we're seeing is a lot of sideways movement each week, or a gradual grind. So these big strong moves that get you the RSI extensions on the 4 hour will be getting you the RSI extensions on the hourlies as well. So they're kind of both lighting up at the same time. We've got the Euro CAD lit up at the moment. You know, it's just, it doesn't matter which time frame really you look at it, and just obviously then drop down to lower time frames and look for your reversal alerts. Just like them short, I think we're going to get more strength coming through on the New Zealand and the Aussie at some point. It's not the Euro, obviously, that's going to be strengthening up immediately. We've got news on the Aussie dollar, and that will affect the New Zealand dollar as well. The Aussie and the New Zealand dollar all move at the same time. It doesn't matter who has the news, they both will tend to react to it. So we've got lots and lots of Aussie dollar news. I think we're probably going to get some positive news coming, which is going to drive this one down. In fact, I'm just thinking what I might do. I'm just going to put some cells in here, scattering these around. So having a sell limit up at ADR today, which will be taking out yesterday's high. So if we take out yesterday's high and get up to ADR, I'll enter a position short and start building a short position, because I think we're going to get some Aussie dollar strength this week, which means we should get this push down on the Euro. If it slams through that, I'll be looking to get in up there. Obviously for the drop. If it just comes straight down, I'll jump into a short position and then start to add to it as we go down. I'm not really taking reversal alerts on this. Obviously, if you want to be super cautious, you could get in now on a reversal alert. But this thing's very, 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 very range bound. So you're going to get lots of reversal alerts in here happening on all time frames as we're accumulating ahead of the Australian news. So it's either going to just dump on the news. It could well just sit here and do this for 2 days waiting for the news to happen, in which case I'm not going to get into anything. But if we have a good strong push ahead of the news, I'm going to start to build a position short, and if on the news it then tanks, I'm going to jump in with it while it's tanking. So just starting to build a position on that Euro odd. The reason I like the Euro odd right over the Euro New Zealand, the Australian dollar's got the bigger economy, and the Australian dollar is the focus of the news this week, not the New Zealand dollar. So we're going to get more movement off of the Australian dollar this week. And we've also, the other nice thing about it is we've got 3 news releases on one currency. So if this comes out with something negative and the Australian dollar tanks, this could come out with something positive and the Australian dollar will fly. This could come out with something negative and the Australian dollar tanks. As long as the Australian dollar does that, I'm making money. I don't care. If 2 of these are positive and one of them's negative, we're going to get 2 moves up and 1 move down. Yeah. So if I'm scaling in short, I'm out. If I'm scaling in long, I'm going to get out of the position straight away. You know, it doesn't really matter, does it? As long as it moves up and down, that's all we need. So if this thing goes boom, 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 I'm getting in on a short, making money down there. If it flies up, I'm getting in, getting out. Yeah, doesn't matter. As long as this thing moves this week, make money. Euro New Zealand or Euro odd, take your pick. Euro odd's the better. obviously because of the news. Euro US dollar short. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what you want to do on this. The problem is finding entries. Can't get an entry on this thing. I got some shorts on it when we pulled up into here. They were very risky because we were in an accumulation. So I just got to sorry to keep flicking about, but I'm just I'm a gnat's whisker away from TPing on my positions, and I don't want it to run away without me. It's $470. I'm just closing that long out so I don't have to worry about it and think about it anymore. So I'm done. So just I had 5 positions on, just scaled out of them there. So looking for short opportunities on this potentially. I do want this to get up here first though, obviously, but see what reaction we get at these highs. We haven't got there yet, but watch this for the next 10-15 minutes. If we start to get some decent selling action starting to come in on the crickets, I think we'll be ready to start taking some shorts, but we'll keep an eye on these. Euro US dollar. So yeah, looking for this to push up. We've got a very obvious accumulation here. So this whole zone, basically anywhere in there, is a good opportunity for shorts. So we could just get the bounce straight off of there. We got this level here, which has been very, very supportive. We could push up into there, and obviously we've got the highs and the 24 coming down on top. We know how well the 24 works. So hoping that we get some US dollar weakness this week. That gives the euro an opportunity to breathe, to move up, and then be looking to start shorts. But you know, we've had on this thing virtually just over 2 weeks of complete sideways movement. So we've broken down next leg. So this thing could equally just collapse like this. No idea. But we'll see. But yeah, looking for short opportunities, euro US dollar, if we can get a push back up into there. Just about to get a reverse alert on H4 here, but it's an accumulation, you know, so it's not really a strong move, is it? It's just grinding. So anywhere up there, good. A little bit of selling coming in. All the pounds. So pound news this week. We've got monetary policy report hearings this afternoon, and then CPI on Wednesday, and then obviously retail sales again on Friday. But I mean, retail sales aren't going to do anywhere near as much impact as the CPI figures will. So from a pound perspective, assuming that we're going to get something coming out which is basically going to be negative for the pound, we should be looking for short opportunities. We're in a gradual decline here. We're making new lower highs, and we have been for 3 weeks now. No real movement yet. Last week we had this obviously big dump, and then we undid the entire move, and we sat there and accumulated all week last week. So no directional bias at the minute on this. I'd be looking for some kind of short opportunities up at the highs. Obviously we've got no RSI extension on it. We had one last week up here which has played out nicely but didn't really get anywhere. Looking at the pound New Zealand, same sort of thing. We've got new highs. Obviously this is the opposite. Yeah, we got divergence on the New Zealand and the Aussie at the moment, which is why we're seeing the Aussie dollar New Zealand going up. So again, still looking for short opportunities on it. Again, last week, but didn't really get anywhere. So we just sat and accumulated. We've just taken out the highs. Lovely run and dropped back down again. So I think what we're going to see is that sort of price action today and tomorrow. Not really going to get anywhere. Waiting for CPI, and then CPI will either send this skyward or send it collapsing down. More likely down, but you just don't know. So we've got this gradual incline, obviously. Massive Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar strength. then we've had this sort of real long-term flag forming, where we've not had a lot happening on the Aussie and the New Zealand. They've been weak. So, weak currency is making grounds on a weaker currency. So whatever happens with the pound will be the next leg. So pound odd and pound New Zealand looking good for short opportunities. You could start to get in now. There's quite a good chance that they will run this liquidity though. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 highs. All of these highs likely to have quite a large amount of stop orders sitting above there for people that have gone short, and breakout orders for people that want to go long. So there's going to be a lot of liquidity sitting up there. I'd be very surprised if they didn't come and grab that before they made their move. Obviously, that is assuming that we are going to get a down move. If we're going to get an upward move, I'd be looking for them to pull back down. So you get a clue ahead of news which way they're possibly going to take it, because if they come and clear the decks to the downside, they're probably going to want to come up here. But equally with the CPI figure, if it comes out pretty much forecast and everything's as expected and the market's already factored all that in, all they'll do is they'll whipsaw it and stay where they are. Yeah, we have no idea. Nobody knows what's going to happen. It's just a case of waiting to see and going with the clues that the market gives you before the event happens. So if we get some liquidity runs to the lows, may indicate an upward move. Selling off on the DAX and the ES at the minute. Well, I say selling off, we're in an inside bar. It's not really going anywhere. So that's what I'm looking for, and then getting up there. So yeah, pound odd and pound New Zealand covered. Pound CAD. CAD is very, very strong at the moment, as you can see. So again, not looking for that to change in any way, shape or form. So be looking for shorts. Again, not really easy to get into this with a short. You've got a lovely double bottom there, but if you take an order now on that today, if we break down below there, you could get manipulated and stopped out on it on the news. So I'd rather wait this week and see if they can push up. This is the one we looked at for that bounce. You can see I took the bounce here, that trade there, and the reason was this grey zone here, which is that daily level. Yeah, so we tapped into that daily, took that bounce. This is what I was saying when I was talking about the other pair earlier. We've got daily level coming up. You will get a bounce at the daily. It's very rare you don't get a bounce at a daily level. So you get that bounce, but that bounce doesn't necessarily have to hold. And as you can see, it's done exactly the same thing here. So we've broken back down, and we've tapped into this area here, and we've got another level down there. So that would be ideal if we can get a push up on the pound this week. I think we've got a head down to that sort of level ahead of us. And then when we get down here, we are at lows we haven't been at for quite some time. Obviously, the economic stance that we're in at the moment is very different to what it's been in the last decade. So all these decade lows that we've got, we didn't have oil doing what it's doing, and we didn't have the banking system doing what it's doing. So again, we weren't in a bear market. So it's all very different now. So it doesn't mean that these areas are going to hold. We could just continue to do this. You look at the speed of this collapse we've had since the this year, and since the war, since the market turned. It's equivalent to that. It's equivalent to that, and what happened afterwards. Yeah. So typically you would look for strong pound from these levels, but we're in a different world now to what we were when these happened previously. But equally, the Bank of England do not want us devalued too much. It's not good for our economy. The pound getting weaker means we make less money out of international trade, and international trade at the moment is difficult. So you might find Bank of England stepping in, but it's all very doom and gloom. All currencies at the minute, which is why it's very hard to look for longs on anything but US and CAD. Yeah, we'll be looking ideally for some kind of movement up this week on the pound today, tomorrow, and then look for short opportunities to get into ahead of CPI. But equally, CPI could just completely surprise us and the pound could go flying. We saw that with the US dollar, didn't we? Pound Swiss, sideways mess. Looking for range bound trades on this one. Yeah. So it's obviously very, very heavy because we just keep batting into this bottom. We're back up at highs at the moment. This big drop here, if we get up into here, I'd like to look at shorts on the pound Swiss. But again, Swiss banking, very, very, very weak at the moment. Pound, very, very, very weak at the moment. What do you do when you've got two weak currencies? You get a range. So unless something changes this week, we will continue to see that. If we can get a strong push up to these highs, be lovely little short opportunities. Pound yen, same as all the other yens. Pound's done worse than a lot of them. It stood up better against that move as well. So we've got some areas of support and resistance we're approaching down here now, but equally, with all of these, I'm confused as hell on the yen because the yen's just not doing what it's done for the last 20 years and be a safe haven at the moment. So it's a confusing instrument to trade. I can't long it because I can't long the pound at the minute, but likely it is going to move a little bit. And again, this is all going to be affected by what happens this week with the CPI. So I don't know, not really interested in trading it. Pound New Zealand we've done. Pound US, obviously same as euro, weak. Looking, we've just had a reversal alert. We've tapped straight into resistance and we've bounced. So again, US is likely to be fairly dormant this week because the focus is on all the other currencies. They're going to be the focal point for the week. So we will find manipulation. Majority of it will be happening on the pound pairs and the Australian pairs. So we might find we've got a fairly neutral to weak US dollar this week, which will give the other pairs obviously a chance to get a bit of headway. But that level there is what I'm looking at, and this low here. So this propulsion gap here, if we can get up into there, I'll be looking for short opportunities out of that. Can't say it's going to get there or not. It's got to get a good ADR, 150 ADR. But if we can get up into that zone, we're looking for shorts. New Zealand's weak, as you can see, against the CAD. This is the same. I mean, covering these New Zealand's is pretty much the replay of what the Aussies are. Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollars doing very similar at the minute. Weakness, can't long it just because of the strength of the Canadian dollar. Very difficult to trade. Want to wait for some kind of pullback into the 24. We haven't had a pullback into the 24 for over a month. This thing's just dying. So you can't get an entry short on it. So having to wait. New Zealand dollar Swiss, lovely easy thing to trade at the moment. It's just very difficult to get an entry on the thing. So we had one there as a short. I had sort of one on that double top for a short. Didn't quite get that. Waiting for some kind of opportunity to get in short. On the hourly is probably the best thing to look at on this. But again, they tie in fairly well. You're going to get an extension, but they're not getting very extended. I've got an alert going off on something. I presume that's a DAX. Yeah, that's my DAX alert just gone off. Okay, so we're up at the highs. So keep an eye on the DAX. Gap fill's done. Well, not done. Almost done. Sitting at a big round number. So want to see this, try and crack this big round number and get this gap done, and then watching for the crickets to go red and some bearish price action. Start building a short position. obviously be aware of these highs. If we get this gap fill and you want to build a position to try and ride the gap back down to there, you want to think about stop placements up here somewhere. So it depends, obviously, if you want to, it could just collapse, but just think about potentially where we might see a lot of orders sitting. There's going to be a lot of limit orders sitting at these levels, ready to short. So you want to make sure you've got enough room for short orders there. What's that? 7. So getting in multiple positions with wider stops. We haven't done the gap fill yet though. Close. They're not always to the pip. You don't know what. We don't forget we're looking at a broker feed here, so that could have been it. But that's the opening range high, which obviously we've got some selling coming in at as well. Keep an eye on that one. New Zealand dollar Swiss, as I say, we'll go back to this. So looking for highs, basically, looking for RSI extensions. So if you get any RSI extensions to the highs, be looking for short opportunities on that. New Zealand dollar yen, same as the rest. Don't know. It's all a mystery. I just really want to long it, and it's not doing it. So I don't want to short it because I don't believe the yen has got strength in it yet. So I just can't really trade the yens at the minute. New Zealand US is obviously a short. We haven't got any opportunities, so very much the same as the CAD. Looking for pullbacks to try and get opportunities short. So again, with this one, you're probably better off dropping down onto the hourly, looking for any big strength of movement, and then dropping down onto M5 and taking the reversal alerts short when you get them on M5 based on hourly RSI extensions. But yeah, want to wait for it to get up there, basically, which we're not doing at the moment. US dollars, right? So US dollar this week, news-wise, we've got retail sales tomorrow. Then we have Fed and unemployment towards the end of the week. So retail sales is the only thing we've really got, and Powell talking at 7 o'clock. Where is that? Wall Street Journal, Future of Everything Festival in New York. Okay, audience questions. That'll be a big one, actually, if it's in Wall Street. So there'll be a lot of, obviously, the normal reporters, normal finance reporters there, but a lot of banking execs as well will be there, and investment execs. So they might get some interesting questions coming out of that one. So it might be worth a watch. So tomorrow is the day for the US dollar. So where we are at the minute, Euro Swiss has just hit ADR. I'll come back to that in a sec. Let's have a quick look at Euro Swiss. Right, so we've hit the upside on Euro Swiss. So yeah, good potential short opportunity on that one. We're not extended on either of the RSIs. So looking at these highs, basically, if you get into this one with a short now, you're retesting the reversal alert. Then looking basically for a double top for a second position, and after that we'll be looking somewhere up at these highs. So you got one there, and potentially scaling in again somewhere around about there, 225 for a drop. Big strong 2-day move on the Euro Swiss last week. So Euro is gaining good ground against the Swiss franc. I just want to see if this is actually Euro movement or Swiss franc movement. Yeah, it looks like fairly strong Euro. Coupled with a fairly weak Swiss franc this morning as well. So that's why that's moved the most, because obviously we got a fairly strong Euro this morning and a weak Swissy. So the combination of the two obviously gives this way more drive than the rest. So very nice, big, strong push up. I would imagine you're going to get an hourly RSI extension on that shortly as well. So watch this for shorts today, Euro Swiss. So M5 reversal, that's going to be fair way away. So price action, we want to watch what happens up here. If we get a new high put in, obviously you'll get the support rectangle coming in a bit lower, which means you'll get a tighter entry on this one. Second position entry there. Initial target could be down in that accumulation, or obviously if you want to go longer term, anywhere really. So we've got a trend line break on it, but overall, Euro weak. So looking for shorts. US dollar CAD. Going back to those. So the US dollar and the CAD obviously both strong at the moment, which is why we've got these sort of power struggles going on, where one of them kind of breaks out and then we get into these accumulations. So it's very accumulative because we've got two strong currencies battling against each other. The US dollar is obviously always going to win out against the Canadian dollar if it's strong, because it's the world's currency. It's the biggest currency in the world. So you're going to get more movement off of the US. At the moment, we've got a little bit of a weakening US because we've had a very, very strong US, and it has to have a rest. It has to have profit takes. It needs to pull back a bit. So we've got the Canadian dollar doing something very similar at the minute. So it's all gone into accumulation for the last week. Right now, we're sitting on this level of support, which we are respecting very, very nicely. So if you look at this on a lower time frame, what we've got is a reversal alert, and we're just coming back down in to retest that area. So potentially this could be a good buying spot, but I think we're probably going to get a little bit more weakness on the US dollar until we get to tomorrow. Retail sales is always a very tricky one. It's hit and miss, as you can see. It's virtually a 50-50 shot as to whether you're going to get a positive or negative figure off of it. If it's positive, obviously you tend to get a very good strong move. If it's negative, it depends how much the market's factored in as to whether or not it decides to do nothing or just continue on its merry way. If it's really negative, it takes quite a big negative on retail, because retail figures are basically a reactionary reading based on what has happened with monetary policy, inflation, consumer price index, all that sort of stuff. So obviously CPI goes up, we tend to buy less stuff. So it's just a case of really waiting to see what happens with this, but there's a high probability we'll get a positive movement off of the US dollar tomorrow. So where we are and where we've just bounced from is pretty much spot on for long opportunities. If not, you've got another bottom down here at the 72. So if that doesn't hold and we don't get a continuation, and again, I wouldn't be looking for a lot on it. Bear in mind you've got a strong currency here, so the Canadian dollar can easily just batter this back down again. If this doesn't hold up, you've got the 24 coming and the 72 coming up underneath it, and obviously you've got these levels to look at. So if it's not a goer here, want to scale in roughly half an ADR to an ADR lower, roughly half an ADR to an ADR lower, you're going to get a bounce at some point there. We're close to getting an RSI extension on it, in which case then we should definitely get a decent bounce on the US dollar. Assuming, again, of course, nothing happens with Russia and everything just ticks along as it is at the moment. So good looking potential buy opportunity on that one there, US dollar CAD. The problem is targets on this. We haven't got far to the upside. These highs really, if we're going to make new highs, that's kind of what you've got to rely on, because if you're going to get into a position down here, that's really what you want to be targeting. Most recent high, which isn't far I might have a quick go on this one actually, with a smaller position. So assuming we get this retest, I'm going to take a long there. Let's have a look at what the stop is on this. So that's going to be about $100 in drawdown down there. So yeah, slightly smaller position on it. It's going to be a quick in and out if it works out. So basically I'm playing the M15 retest back up to there. If that doesn't hold, I'll be looking potentially around about here, which kind of you get the 24 starting to catch up, and then the 72 somewhere around that bounce down there. So looking to scale in long on it. If it continues to come down, obviously if it just goes up and puts in new highs, fantastic. So yeah, US dollar CAD, nice looking potential long opportunity. It's very nice at the moment with two strong currencies. Obviously you're going to get that nice pullback because you're going to get the Canadian dollar suddenly power up, and that'll dump this, and then you get the US dollar power up, etc., etc. So nice strong movements on it. So looking for long opportunities on that one. If this continues and breaks down through these lows, just be looking for reversal alert long on M15. So if this pushes down and invalidates that reversal alert, we'll obviously get new reversal alerts put in as we scale down, as market structure goes bearish. Wait for the next bullish structure break to the upside. US dollar CAD, US dollar Swiss, can't get in. As I said last week, was trying to short this thing, waiting for some breathing. It's not breathing. So yeah, not I can't trade this. I can't take it long. It's too high, too extended, and I can't get in short on it because it's just not shorting. So Swiss franc is just too weak. This is the only power we're getting. It's just nothing. It's just nothing happening. Can't trade it. US dollar yen. Longs again on the US dollar yen. This is held up the best out of the bunch, obviously. Strong US dollar, weak yen means we got the biggest, strongest movement on this thing. Still looking for longs. Obviously, you can see how little impact the yen had. This is your gauge on whether or not the yen is really strong or not. If the yen is really, really, really going to strengthen up, it's going to beat the US dollar. When it has power behind it, and when the market rallies behind the yen, it beats everything. We got a 24 bounce. We did manage to get down below these lows, but it got bought up again. So this is what makes me think it's not really a strong move on the yen at the moment. We're still not there. So long opportunities on this one. Again, I'm not trading it, but you can see how little movement we've had on this thing when it decides to go sideways. So you've got to be patient with this. It's slow. Fairly decent ADR, but it's slow. It's slow in movement. So and again, with these US dollars, don't look for too much. Just go for the highs, really. But yeah, nice extension on that one. There was your opportunities last week. So at the moment, it's not anywhere particularly interesting to take a trade. We're kind of mid-range, so nothing exciting. But I'd be looking for long opportunities if we do get a push down. Okay, that's all the pairs done. So a few opportunities there, but there's a lot of stuff which is kind of hovering at the minute. I'm just being super cautious at the moment still, because with what's going on in the Ukraine, and we're getting these crazy moves all the time. It's just literally you sit there and accumulate for ages, and all of a sudden bang, it happens in a day. You've just got to be positioned right, waiting for it to move. A lot of patience needed at the moment, a lot of patience. So yeah, anybody got any questions on anything else? No weeklies, obviously. It's Monday. Have a look at those tomorrow. Okay, DAX gap fill done. So we're buying up into the gap. So from here on, looking for short opportunities on the DAX. Obviously to come and get the gap fill done. So we've got this whacking great gap that we did not fill from Thursday to Friday. So looking for that to get filled this week, and market structure to continue short. So yeah, shorts. So just waiting for some bearish price action really. Obviously you can see we've had very little. Easiest way to tell bearish price action and get it confirmed obviously is when we break a previous up candle. So you can see we've got this big strong closed candle here. We had 2 down candles. We never got anywhere near that low. Put in another bull. Yeah, every time you get a bull candle, draw a line under it. Yeah, when we break one of those, that's bearish, proper bearish. If you get a like this candle here, if you get a bearish engulfing now on this candle, yeah, but it doesn't break below there, it's a bearish candle, yeah, but it's not bearish price action. We haven't broken structure, we haven't broken a low. So just, you know, keep, and this is why, you know, you have this sell stop under the last candle button. This is what this button is for. Yeah, putting a sell stop under that low. If we break that low, that's bearish, really bearish. Yeah, if this now does this and pushes up again, you just keep hitting this button, dragging that up. You'll get triggered into a short when the market really wants to go short. And obviously the market, if it wants to go short, can do that sort of candle very easily. Yeah, get that big strong move that starts you off. Yeah, you want to be gathered up when that's happening. So yeah, it's building short opportunities. Stop, probably go a little bit less than that now as we're pushing up. So stop above these highs, and I want to build a good 3 or 4 positions short as we start to see price action building. And obviously TP is going to be way down on it. You know, it's the gap basically. So 13,725-ish area, somewhere around there. But obviously, ultimately, looking for DAX to continue short, very short. But at the moment, we're buying up. Let's have a quick look at what the US has done this morning. So Globex has just basically bought up the lows from Friday, from that last end move on Friday. So again, by the time the DAX gets up into this area, you'll find the US indices will be coming up into here. Yeah, looking good. So yeah, so looking for shorts basically from now on. But at the moment, it's screaming to the upside. So I'm not going to jump on this. I'd rather wait for it to show me some bearish signs and see if we can trade it back down. Right, so that's all I've got for you this morning. Be aware of, obviously, from a news perspective today to potentially move us, we've got Empire State Manufacturing Index, which doesn't really do an awful lot. This afternoon, pound. So if we get a decent move up on the pound off of this for any reason, that could take us into those zones where we were looking at ready for potentially shorting. So I'll be keeping an eye on these and seeing if we enter anywhere on the pound that looks like a good resistance level to start taking shorts. We may get some extensions on RSI to the upside to look at short opportunities, maybe on the hourly, unlikely on the 4 hourly, but on the hourly we might get some. So keep an eye on that. 3:15 this afternoon. It's 45 minutes after the New York Open, and then we'll see if we get some opportunities there. I'll put a note in the Telegram group if there's anything I see interesting to get in short, but the pounds are all a bit tricky at the minute from a location point of view. We're kind of midline and everything. If we can get some decent movement up into highs, on pound odd up here somewhere, then I'll be interested. If we get any ADR hits to the upside on the pound today off the back of that, then yeah, definitely be interested. And obviously Aussie dollar overnight, got to be aware of as well. So keep your eyes peeled on those. All right. So anything you need, I'll be in the Telegram group. The link coming up to that in a moment. Be in there if you need anything to do with indicators, any setups or anything you're interested in. Always in there. But for me, I'm just going to concentrate this afternoon on this gap fill on the DAX and see if we can get some movement towards that. I'll be getting in and getting out on the way down, but yeah, looking good for that. We said it might not fill, didn't we? And it didn't. So if it doesn't fill on the day, there's a high probability of either today or tomorrow getting that filled. So we got a good target to aim for. Aussie dollar CAD 4-hour RSI low before I go. Only just. So off the lows, but so I'd rather wait to get in short, but we shall see. Alright guys, hit the like button. Yes, hit the like button. Not that it makes much difference. I don't get enough people in here to make it any impact on YouTube. That's not what I'm here for. So yeah, come in the Telegram group if you need anything. Otherwise, we'll be back at 7:50 tomorrow morning. Be aware of the news this afternoon on the pound. Be aware of the Aussie dollar news overnight during the Asian session. And we will see where we've got to in the morning, see what opportunities we've got. Yeah, I'll keep you updated in the Telegram group, what's happening with the DAX. Yeah, Burke, you can't see any gaps at your graphs. Charts, not graphs. You will be seeing broker data on your chart. So yeah, on TradingView, it depends which broker you're looking at. Obviously, TradingView has lots of feeds from lots of different brokers. If you can't see the gap, it's because you've got pre-market data supplied by your broker. Yeah, the Frankfurt Exchange closed on Friday. There, the Frankfurt Exchange opened this morning at 7 a.m. There, it was shut. If you said, I want to place a $1 trillion long on any German stock this morning at 5 o'clock, you couldn't pick up the phone to anybody because the exchange was shut. There was no trading. It's physically impossible to trade. It's like walking into a supermarket when the doors are closed at 1 o'clock in the morning. They're shut. Yeah. Any data you see on your chart before 7 a.m. is your broker. And your broker is estimating what would happen to the price of that index based on what is happening with stocks. But there's no trading activity happening. You can't. Shut. So either pick a broker like Forex that has this and use it for charting, or very simply, I'll give you an example on my other platform here. Let me drag it into place so you can see it. So this basically is Trader Central. Yeah. So this is pre-market. All of this stuff here is all pre-market. Yeah. Yeah, the exchange opened here. Actually, exchange opened here. Yeah, this didn't happen in real life, but the broker will plot this. I'm not quite sure how they do it. I don't know how they do it. Doesn't matter how they do it. What matters is that is not real transactions. It's like stocks, yeah. So on the US stocks, yeah, before the 1:30, the stock market, or 2:30 UK time. Oh God, 2:30 UK time. The New York Stock Exchange opens. Yeah, you have the opening bell, right? There is a thing called the Globex session, Globex, which is run by the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which allows you to trade stocks outside of market hours on the indices. But you can't physically buy and sell stock shares until the New York Stock Exchange opens. So the trading activity is a representation of what's happening with stock prices and where a stock is expected to open. So you have gappers. So when there's earnings released overnight, a stock will open at a price which is different to where it closed the day before. Yeah, there were no stocks traded there because the exchange was shut. You couldn't buy or sell shares in those stocks. Yeah, so you get a gap. But we know what was happening. So the exchanges, the indexes will show activity, and this is what you see. It's complicated, but at the end of the day, what is important is the volume of shares that are traded at the opens of the exchanges will tend to gravitate towards a gap, if there is one. Because there's people that have got stuck the wrong side of a trade, or say people, there's institutions which are stuck the wrong side of trades on their portfolios, and they will get out of those positions by selling their shares, or they wanted to get into shares on Monday but the stock price was in a different spot, so they will buy those shares up the next day to get back to where the price should be. Yeah, so it's just a case of you need to find a broker that just gives you that data. There's loads of them out there. Forex is a good one to use. Yeah, or use a trading view chart that has it. I put an indicator in the Telegram group that shows the gaps for those of us with broker data. Yeah. I mean, you draw it. You draw it on your chart. You just draw a line on it, which I think Diamond's obviously done. What happens if you make an absolute fortune trading it? The broker will be in a bit of a pickle. Well, you don't forget with CFDs, you're trading with your broker, contract for differences. Yeah, your broker is your for everybody that makes a win, there's a load of people that make a loss. Yeah, unless you're on the broker's A book, you're trading against your broker. 95% of people fail, so lose. So the broker's always going to win. I think in most brokers it's about 72%, isn't it? They quote, but yeah, I mean, you make money pre-market, definitely. Have done it many times. What's interesting about the broker data is it looks the same across different brokers, so it's not just made up by each broker. You're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing altogether. Yeah, it's all an estimation of. I don't really know how it works. The pre-market stuff. It's only on the DAX because this. When you're looking at this, this is Globex. This is real. This is you can trade the indices on Globex. before the New York Stock, all this, London, you know, the New York Stock Exchange is shut. This is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange Globex feed. You can trade this with CME. You are trading it with CME if you're trading futures. But not many people trade the Globex session. Go and look it all up on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It's all explained. Bearish price action starting to come in on the DAX now. So we've got the gap. So we may well start our bear movement here. So looking for some kind of break, and I'm looking for some decent selling action to come through on the DAX. We're getting the odd flurry of sell orders coming in, but no real strength of movement down yet. So I shall look to get in on that, or just if it completely collapses. Yeah. So yeah, but go and have a look at it. If you're interested in learning about it, I've never really looked into it in any detail, so I don't know how the brokers do it. But the fact of the matter is, it's not you're not seeing what's happening on the Frankfurt exchange because it ain't there. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow, 7:50, same time. We'll see how we get on with today's trades. Hopefully we get this yen devalue and the Swissy pumps up again. I'd like to kind of get out of this one, I think. Yeah, and I'll put in the Telegram group, as I said, any trades that I'm taking, but you've seen what I'm interested in today. Nothing particularly amazing interesting today. So, all right, have a good one. Anybody needs anything, let me know in the Telegram group. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow morning at 7:50. Have a good one.